My parents laughed when I quit my career to open a cafe. Then they saw the line outside on opening day. The grand opening sign had barely been hanging for 10 minutes when my phone vibrated. It was a text from my mother. Don't embarrass yourself. You can still sell the place before you lose everything. My heart instantly sank. 5 years earlier, I'd quit my corporate accounting job to chase my dream of opening a cafe. My parents told everyone I was throwing my education away. They stopped inviting me to family dinners because they didn't want relatives asking why I had become a waitress. I spent years working double shifts, sleeping 4 hours a night, and saving every dollar I could. Now, after countless setbacks, permits, and construction delays, I was finally unlocking my own front door. My hands were trembling as I turned the sign to open. I smiled, but deep inside, I was terrified nobody would walk in. The first 20 minutes were painfully quiet. I kept pretending to wipe already clean tables just to stay busy. Every time the doorbell jingled, my heart started pounding, only for someone to glance inside and leave. I looked at the fresh pastries I'd baked before sunrise and silently prayed they wouldn't end up in the trash. Then the bell rang again. An elderly man slowly walked in carrying a faded photo album. He smiled warmly and said, "You probably don't remember me." I frowned. Before I could answer, he opened the album to an old newspaper clipping. There I was, 15 years old, selling homemade cookies at a school fundraiser. "I bought 2 cookies from you that day," he said with a smile. "You told me you'd own a cafe one day, so I promised myself I'd be your first customer if you ever did." My eyes instantly filled with tears. While I was making his coffee, the front door suddenly opened again. Then again, then again. Within minutes, the cafe was completely full. My entire body froze. I looked around in total disbelief. People from my old neighborhood, former coworkers, teachers, and even customers from the bookstore where I'd worked years ago were all standing in line. Someone had secretly shared my opening date online weeks earlier. A woman near the back smiled and shouted, "We've been waiting for this day." The whole cafe erupted into applause. I had to turn away for a second because I was trying so hard not to cry. Every lonely night, every sacrifice suddenly felt worth it. Around lunchtime, the bell rang one more time. I looked up, and my parents were standing in the doorway. The cafe became strangely quiet. My mother slowly looked around at every occupied table before whispering, "We didn't think anyone would come." My father couldn't even meet my eyes. He quietly walked to the counter, placed a $20 bill on it, and said, "2 coffees, if you'll still serve us." My heart was racing. For a moment, every painful memory came flooding back. Then I took a deep breath, smiled politely, and replied, "Of course." I made their drinks exactly the same way I made everyone else's, with kindness they hadn't always shown me. Before they left, my father stopped beside the door. His voice was barely above a whisper. "I spent years telling people you made the biggest mistake of your life." He looked around the crowded cafe one last time before adding, "Turns out I was the one who was wrong." My mother quietly wiped away a tear. Neither of them asked for forgiveness. They simply thanked me for the coffee and walked out together. Watching them leave, I realized I didn't need an apology to feel successful anymore. The sound of customers laughing, cups clinking, and people believing in something I'd built with my own hands was already the answer I'd been chasing for years. That evening, after locking the front door, I sat alone by the window holding the cafe's very first receipt. It wasn't a large amount of money, but it represented every risk I'd taken when everyone else expected me to fail. Sometimes success isn't about proving people wrong. Sometimes it's about proving to yourself that your dreams were worth believing in, even when nobody else did. The next morning, I unlocked the cafe expecting another quiet start, but a local newspaper reporter was already waiting outside. She smiled and held up her phone. "Someone posted a video of what happened yesterday," she said. My heart skipped a beat. Overnight, the clip of the crowded opening and my father's quiet apology had been viewed hundreds of thousands of times. By lunchtime, customers were lining up outside the building, not because of the video alone, but because they wanted to support someone who had refused to give up when everyone else had counted her out. At that moment, I realized the strongest advertisement in the world isn't money. It's a story people genuinely believe in.